Number 47. I can't believe we're almost halfway done. So take the derivative and set it equal to 0. So here's our little function right there. Looks pretty interesting, a tangent inverse. And then inside of that, there's a sine inverse. And inside of that, there's a square root. So the derivative. The derivative of tangent inverse is 1 divided by 1 plus something gets squared. And the something is going to be whatever's inside the parentheses. So this is going to be sine inverse of the square root of x gets squared. Now for the chain rule. So now take the derivative of sine inverse. And the derivative of sine inverse is 1 over the square root of 1 minus something gets squared. And the something is, in this case, the square root of x. Oh, we're almost done with the derivative. Now do the chain rule and take the derivative of the square root of x, which is 1 over 2 times the square root of x. And there is the derivative. Now set it equal to 0. So this is all multiplication, so that means that on the top it's just 1 times 1 times 1. And then there is the 1 plus sine inverse of the square root of x, and that gets squared, so it needs to be written like this. So these two exponents cannot be combined because this isn't actually an exponent. This is just a way of saying use the inverse of sine. So these two cannot be combined. This could be simplified. That's going to be, oh, this guy is going to need parentheses. The square root, and then the square root and the square will cancel each other out. And then there's also going to be times 2 and the square root of x. And really this was just a problem in taking a derivative of an interesting function because it's not going to equal 0. The only way that a fraction could equal 0 is if the top equals 0. And the top does not equal 0, so that means there's no solution. Now if I had said, find out where the derivative does not exist, well, that would be when the bottom equals 0. So for example, if x equals 0, the derivative would be undefined. If x equals 1, the derivative would be undefined. This part right here, that would never equal 0. But at 1 and at 0, so for some extra credit points, x equals 1 and x equals 0 is where the derivative is undefined.